Before the sanitation workers' protest in 1968, there were a group of students who challenged desegregation in Memphis, igniting the civil rights movement in the city in 1960.
And my oldest sister, Ernestine, was a student at Lemoyne College when they planned the first sit-in at the public libraries. All of the libraries were segregated here in Memphis in 1960, and there was only one library for African Americans.
Ernestine Lee and 40 of her classmates from Lemoyne College sat down and read books, and all were arrested and put in jail. This sit-in movement led to movie theaters, museums, restaurants, and the train station.
My first arrest was on Main Street at the old Shanebird's department store. They had a restaurant there. They had one section for colored and then one for whites. And so I was one that was sitting in there, and I was arrested that day along with my sister Ernestine. My other sisters were arrested at various other restaurants along Main Street.
8 years later, a Lane College student from Memphis was following the actions of the sanitation workers and felt the tension building in his city due to deplorable working conditions of the workers. Trying to stay out of the rain, 2 sanitation workers were crushed to death sitting in the back of the truck. These deaths sparked the sanitation workers into action, demanding better pay, better working conditions, and union recognition. These men took a stand for themselves, and based on a statement by Reverend James Lawson, the iconic I Am a Man theme for this campaign was born. They asked Mayor Henry Loeb to address their concerns, and he denied their request. The sanitation workers' strike received national media attention, bringing Dr. Martin Luther King to Memphis for the first march that ended with 1 person dead, more than 64 injured, and 300 arrested. Dr. King came back to Memphis for a second march in April, determined to have a nonviolent march with the sanitation workers. Dr. King was murdered in Memphis at the Lorraine Motel before the second march. Mrs. Coretta Scott King came to Memphis to complete the march her husband started. Lane College senior Dr. Lasimba Gray participated.
We lined up, and I remember when we took off, there was no sound made. You only heard footsteps. They were sliding. We walked all the way up to Main Street, and that's where we saw the snipers. And I remember the feeling of resolve. It doesn't matter now. If they kill us, we're going to complete this march.
This march ended successfully at City Hall, where Mrs. King and other local leaders spoke.
I contend that it was the sanitation workers that broke the mold of segregation in Memphis. When they stood up, this whole community stood up.